welcome back to Luigi's Gaming Lounge. This is episode 18, and today we have with us Out of Time Ecto 1, aka
Andy, hello.
We also have with us Trip Hazard, aka
Barnaby, hello.
And we also have with us Commando Para, aka
Yo, it's your boy Tony, what up?
T-Dog. Now I've got those introductions out of the way. Let's get on to it was a rumour, but supposedly it's now truth. Take-Two have announced unannounced remasters or remakes that are in the works, so to speak, in development. With that in mind, it got me thinking about what I would like to see remastered, remade, or so on. So I've put it to the guys. I've put that question to them to see what what 3 games they would like to see. So I think we shall start with Trip Hazard. Would you like to take it away, Barney?
Putting me on the spot.
I am.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I mean, there's so many games to choose from, really. I mean, if you could pick any 3 games to remaster, I mean, that is a long list. I mean, any experienced gamer could come up with, I think, a list probably as long as there are. I mean, one of the first ones that springs to mind is, did you ever play the old arcade or Super Nintendo game Smash TV?
I haven't myself, no.
Oh, you're missing
terrible.
out.
There's big money, big prizes.
I love it.
I'll have to look into this.
Essentially, it's a 2-player shoot 'em up where you're contestants on a sadistic, futuristic game show where you have to kill as many bad guys as you can for cash. And you move from room to room, basically clearing out all the bad guys. But it's basically an all-action, all guns blazing, non-stop shoot-a-thon. And I mentioned it before on our WhatsApp group. I think that'd be really good as an online 4 or 5 player. I'll probably still keep it 2D graphics because there aren't enough good 2D games out there. But in, of course, HD quality graphics, really high res.
Yeah.
And I think it'll just be like a really good, fun pick up and play arcade style game that'd be great with a group of friends.
Yeah.
So that would be my first choice. I'm also tempted to say, even though it's a lot more recent, I'd like to see a remake of the original Soul Blade. That was a game before Soul Calibur. And although Soul Calibur is my favourite 3D fighting game of all time, it actually cut out a few of the interesting mechanics from Soul Blade, like being able to drop your weapons, and I think your weapons could actually be broken as well, because unlike games like Street Fighter or Tekken or Virtua Fighter, all the combatants fought with their own individual weapons. And I think even though looking at it now, it's very janky. I mean, the graphics don't hold up by any means. It was released on the PlayStation 1 and arcades of that era as well. But I'd really like to see that as a remake.
Okay.
With again sort of nice, sharp HD graphics, and maybe even some like a multiplayer sort of tournament system going on. So again, you can play it with more than just 2 people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for the third one, I'll have to come back to you on that because I haven't thought that far ahead.
Okay, no, that's fine. No, you take your time. Interesting choices. Both actually. Obviously, I do know Soul Calibur, but I haven't played Soul Blade as far as I'm aware. So both games that I've not played.
You've never played Smash TV really shocks me.
It
been re-released on every console of every generation on the arcade.
Let me have a look.
He's played it for 10 minutes is the answer.
Yeah, probably know me. Nope, I cannot say. I have seen the cover, but that's it. I've not played it.
Never played it myself either. But
that's fair enough. That's fair enough. That's exactly why it should have a remake there, a remaster.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
True. It says there it's a hands-on, no-holds-barred do or die adventure. Interesting.
Yeah.
Much like
Released in
Luigi's
1990s.
Gaming Lounge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, Tony, Commando Powerhead, would you like to announce your games that you'd like to see?
Well, but I'm actually keen to pick up on really quickly on Barnaby's choice of Soul Blade. I used to play that game to death. It was one of the two games I had. I had Grand Theft Auto and Soul Blade, and obviously I was only 6, so I had great parents when I was a child. Let me play these sort of age-rated games. Anyway, Soul Blade, brilliant game. You had. I really want to touch on this. The knight who had the massive long sword, but his swing was quite delayed. But I remember. Yeah, exactly. That's it. Yeah, and I remember you go through through the series, much like Tekken and Mortal Kombat. Obviously, you had 3 rounds. Best, whoever wins, you proceed to the next level, to the next character. And I remember at the end, it's always the pirate. And correct me if I'm wrong. Once you killed him, doesn't he turn into sort of a ghost or evolve? If I remember, he always face.
Oh yeah, he was the boss in the Cervantes.
Yeah, double swords. Yeah, I remember that very well.
Yes, yeah.
And brilliant game. So yeah, I can see. I'd love to see sort of a Soul Blade remake and sort of a Tekken did it. I think it was on Tekken 2 or 3. They did like a trial period. A time attack where you had to go through. It was like Street Fighter, so to speak. We had to go through and you had several minutes to get past other opponents, computer opponents, and go from there. But yeah, really good choice on that, mate. Cool. So yeah, that holds quite close to me from my childhood. Going on to my games now, I really tried to think out the box here, and I was trying to think of, for the sake of the program and what I enjoyed as a child as well, something that would really probably touch home and try and go for different sort of types of games that have a different gameplay. So firstly, for me, I wanted something. What would I want remastered? I'd love to see in today's market, to be able to play if it was remastered. And for me, it was for family sort of fun play games. It's a bit of laughter, a bit of competition, and it was Micro Machines for me.
Oh wow!
On PlayStation 1, yeah. Love that game. Played it to death as well with the computers. And I remember as you get past the checkpoints, as soon as you get far away from your opponents, you sort of do this little dance. Your card is like dun dun dun, or you get knocked off, or there's honey on the side, and you can get club hammers, and brilliant game. So for me, I'd love to see that back in. But again, I'm getting sort of a reaction from Barnaby. I take it you spent some time on this game as well.
Yeah, although I was even earlier. I started playing Micro Machines on the Mega Drive.
That's where I
Machines.
Machines
2.
That's where I played it. That's where
I remember.
You could
with
plug
96
your extra controllers in, Barney.
Yeah, it had 2 slots in the cartridge, didn't it?
It did.
Yeah.
It did indeed. The only trouble with that is you have to be very careful not to knock the cartridge when you're moving controllers, otherwise it frees the game.
Yeah.
So that was the only downside. But yeah, I remember that actually had a course construction kit where you could design your own courses and save them. I think it had room for about half a dozen custom tracks, which was pretty cool. I think that was the first game I played which allowed you to design your own tracks. But yeah, it was a good, fun racing game. Although looking back at it now, the perspective was really annoying because with the low resolution of old school TVs, you couldn't see very far ahead when you were racing along because it was all overhead racing. Yeah.
Well, in 2017, they released, it was called Micro Machines World Series. I only know about this because I found it on basically a site where you can purchase digital games. I won't say the site, I've said it in a previous episode. But yeah, and it was rather cheap. So I thought, do you know what? I used to love, like you say, on the Mega Drive, Micro Machines, so I'll give it a go. And in actual fact, it is a lot of fun. So I don't know, I think it's available on Xbox One, so obviously you'll be able to play it on your Xbox Series X and S. But yeah, have a look into that, Tony. It is a
I'm
really
just
fun
looking at
game.
it now. It looks great. You know, it looks like there could be some room for improvements because obviously that's 4 years ago now. But
Yeah,
it's definitely something I'd like to revisit, and
yeah.
with with the latest sort of TVs you've got now and graphics.
I've got to
It looks
say,
really good.
I've got to say, when I played it, it did take me back to the Mega Drive days. You know, obviously, I don't think it doesn't have the exact same charm, but then you got to think, you know, the age we were back then, you know, mixed in with, you know, the technology that we had at the time. But if you just take it for what it is, just a little fun mess around game, you can have a laugh on it, and I do think you'd enjoy it.
So going on to my second choice. Now I was in love with this game. First one was amazing, but the second one, which is Gran Turismo 2, brilliant game. The new courses that they had, the graphics were a little bit sharper, the music, so they had the audio sort of sound. Especially when you used to go through the garage and you're doing your tuning, or you had the 24-hour sort of Le Mans races. And I remember my little hack was I went into the pits. I really needed the toilet, and this is how I discovered this. Genuine. I had a Super Impreza saloon. I was like, right, I've done 20 laps, but my tyres need changing. So I went into the pits, and I was like, I need a toilet. So I went in there. Obviously, the pit session was completed before I had finished my business in the toilet, and I forgot that I hadn't paused it. But the race continued, and he was still driving at a sort of a colossal sort of speed, a nice pace to continue sort of a good lead that I had sort of generated. And I thought, wow, this is late at night. You know what? I'm going to leave this running. And I went to sleep, and I woke up the next morning because it was a 24-hour race. You could save it in parts or carry on or pause it. I managed to get gold. Stupid amount of Gran Turismo credits that you get, their sort of currency. And I walked away with all these sort of concept cars. One of the concept cars, I can't remember what it was. It was a Peugeot something. It was like a sort of a not the Formula One, but it's like the equivalent to that. It was a Peugeot equivalent. And I kind of tried it again. That was my little hack to get these sort of 24-hour Le Mans races completed and been successful. The car just kept going round and changed its own tyres on its own course. And I just do about 10 to 20 laps. I'll put it in the pit and then go, right, I'm going to go to bed now. And a bit of a life hack. So it was really good. I remember doing that when I was going to school. I'd do it in the morning, right, let that run all day. Electric bill must have been ridiculous then, but parents didn't need to know. But it was a brilliant game. I think Gran Turismo 2, and to this day, I personally believe there's no game that's close to it. You've got Burnout, you've got Forza. I don't think there's no game that's close to it. That game was really ahead of its time, and maybe I'm being really biased when I say it, but that is the best racing game I've ever played. But it was just so ahead of time. And I just remember they had the DVD combo pack. I used to watch DVD, and I can't remember the gentleman, but he was part of the program session, and his cousin is at the time was a world champion drifter in Japan, and he was revving these engines up with his family, and there was videos of that where they were putting the microphone there and catching the revs, what it would be with Mitsubishi Lancer.
I think you mentioned this in another episode, didn't you?
I did. And again, as you can see, it's kind of formed a sort of a memory slot, like a memory card. If we're going to put it as like a PlayStation, where you pick them and go, I remember
it's
that.
Had a lasting effect on you finding that information out. Yeah,
that's it. So again, I'll pass it to everyone else. Gran Turismo for me, best racing game ever. But I don't know what your memories, or if you ever spend any time on it. But
not for me, not on 2. My first experience was with number 3, but then because I quite liked number 3, I did end up getting number 4, and number 4, was it number 4? Yeah, number 4 was on PS2, wasn't it? Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think it was free actually, because I got it with the PlayStation 3.
Let me have a quick look.
It's part of the combat.
Let me have a quick look. Let's have a look here. I thought it was 4. Yeah, Gran Turismo 4. Yeah, on the PS2, that's the one. So yeah.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, I spent a hell of a lot of time on that game. And
Yeah,
again, to me,
yeah.
I found it amazing. Like, I loved it that you could change your oil on the vehicles. I loved the fact that you didn't have to buy brand new vehicles. You could go to like the marketplace and buy like second-hand vehicles.
Yeah, I remember that. Aston Martins.
Yeah, I thought it was so cool. So yeah, I've got.
And you know what? Just touching on that before we move on, I remember reading as a child as an article, and I'm sure it was yourself, Luigi, who mentioned this to me, and we saw it. It was in a magazine. I'm sure of it, but I remember there was something about it that there was no licensing, because we all used to talk about why is there no Lamborghinis or Ferraris, for example. You know, these big sort of big sort of manufacturers, these supercars. They were never on there. And that was because they couldn't get the correct licensing in place. So this is why they only stuck with Jag, Audi, Mercedes, Peugeots, Porsches. And, even though a lot of them have got great racing pedigree, especially Porsche, they're renowned for it, and Ford, but it was just quite bizarre. They never had the licenses in place for Lamborghini and Ferrari, but you see on modern games today, they have. But again, going back on that, Gran Turismo 2, yeah, even 4, and the concept edition, just brilliant. I just love the fact that you could buy the vintage cars, such as like a Buick, an old Plymouth, a Dodge 70 RT, one of my favourite cars. Brilliant.
I will just quickly add as well, because I totally forgot. When I had a PlayStation PSP, the first handheld PlayStation, not the Vita. So I had a PSP. They released a Gran Turismo game on that, and it genuinely was very, very well done. Extremely well done, to the point that I've even played it fairly recently, because they you can do like drift events, and I used to love doing it in the snow, like on the snow tracks, and it had the feature of being able to purchase second-hand vehicles and all that type of thing. But with it being for an on-the-go device as such, portable device, obviously races were shorter and whatnot. But yeah, so if anybody likes Tony's suggestion in regards to Gran Turismo, and you have a PSP or are able to play the game, try it out on PSP also. So yeah, sorry Tony, you're on to your third game.
My final game. Now, we talked about this previously, and I think everyone in this forum, in this group, would agree with me. One of the best games to ever come out on PC, and obviously console, is released later on PlayStation 2, and I think it was Xbox. I had a PlayStation 2 at the time, but it was Max Payne. I'd love to see a release of that. It was so dark and eerie. We spoke about it before, so I won't go into too much detail with it. Mm-hmm. But Max Payne, for me, would love to see that released, especially when I've just spent the last 3 nights watching all the Matrix again, ready for the release date of that. Anyway, that's a different story, but brilliant, really, really dark, really eerie. Would love to see Max Payne released again.
Good choices. Very good choices. So we'll move on to Andy out of Time Ecto 1. Go ahead, take it away. Let us know you're free.
Apologies for being quiet thus far. I am multitasking this evening.
Yes, yeah.
I sort of like a bit of both, a bit of Barney and a bit of Tony's one so far. I always like to be the filling, so to speak. But no, going on to Barney's... Going back to Barney's Smash TV,
Yeah.
One of my choices is Zombies, or Zombies Ain't My Neighbors.
Mhm.
And I know they're re-releasing it with like a whatever they're doing update for the Series X. It's still not what I like to see. I used to love Toe Jam and Earl, and basically Toe Jam and Earl, it wasn't a remake; it was a new game. I think it was I forget the name, the most recent one, like Back to Earth or whatever it's called. So the most recent Toe Jam and Earl, that sort of graphics, Back in the Groove is what it was called. That sort of
Right.
graphics, but Zombies Ain't My Neighbor. So still keeping true to the original camera angle, the original game style, gameplay, all of that. But looking HD, looking sharp, looking fresh. And again, like Barney was saying about Smash TV, incorporating 3-player, 4-player, who knows, even 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And then with the technology today, whereas back in the day, obviously playing it on the SNES or the Mega Drive and whatnot, you're limited to how much data can be processed. You could actually get swarms of zombies on the screen and things. But I used to really enjoy that game. I think it's got great, it's a great multiplayer, great co-op fun. So I'd like to see a sort of a reboot of that. My second one is people have tried and failed. I know the modding community have tried and had better success than the actual developers, but a genuine, proper, polished version of GoldenEye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, that is a good shout.
Keeping true to it. So the gameplay, the how the controllers respond, the level design, just not if something ain't broken, don't fix it. But really sharpening up the graphics, getting the HD there,
Getting the frame rate above 10 FPS.
the frame rate, the speed, things like that.
Yeah.
Done properly by the correct developer. I'd like to see that.
That
Now,
would be awesome.
the third one, there's a few I was tossing up, so I'll go quickly through. I'm going to be greedy. I'm just going to throw a few in the mix. One would be the. I don't know whether you guys know it. A game on the N64 called Blast Corps.
No.
Yep. Good
No.
choice. Good choice.
So Blast Corps was basically a fantastic single-player game, and basically you had to use vehicles to destroy buildings and the whole path in front of you, to sort of make way for a big nuclear missile being carried. But it was such fun. You got to destroy everything, but it was made by Rare, and this is Rare when they were decent.
They were the golden boys then.
Yeah,
They were the golden boys of the N64 Rare were.
Oh, definitely. It's just, to me, it was a fantastic single-player game, and it was really unique as well, really different. So something like that would be cool. Other than that, I was also thinking. There's a game, again, you guys hopefully have heard of it, Time Splitters.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I feel like Time Splitters has sort of like died of death. Like no one really talks of it anymore. No one really mentions it. But I thought Time Splitters is a really fun shooting game. And it'd lend itself nicely to, again, the increased frame rates, the sharper HD graphics. And again, the multiplayer aspect could be really good. But to me, if I had to want one of them, it would be Zombies. I could imagine us guys, playing on that, having great co-op fun.
Definitely.
Shortly followed by GoldenEye, and then just from a selfish point of view, if someone wants to remake Blast Corps, I'll take it.
Yeah.
So those are my three choices.
Very nice. Well,
It's funny you said.
Yeah.
Andy, it's funny you said. Sorry, I just want to point out GoldenEye. Great choice. We've spoken about this before, and Luigi sort of revisited it recently. But we talked about it. I think it was a previous episode where we talked about hit points on Call of Duty. Luigi did it on one of his earlier channels, and it talked about hit points on what we'd like to see on Call of Duty Warzone. Such as why do not vehicles not blow up when shooting the fuel tank? That I remember in that game, when you're on a chopper, you had to shoot the fuel tank on a vehicle, and it would blow up. It was a hit point. So yeah, going back on that, brilliant game, ahead of its time, remastered. That'd be fantastic to see.
Also, touching on Time Splitters, I know obviously it's not a remaster or remake, but did you ever hear of the Easter egg in the second Homefront game in regards to Time Splitters 2?
I have heard of it, but I've never played Homefront.
Right, okay. Because I think, if I'm not wrong, you go up to like a a machine, I think it's like an arcade machine or something like that, and you type in some codes. You can get the codes online, and it basically gives you access to a load of the Time Splitter 2 levels. So you're actually playing Time Splitters 2 inside the Homefront game.
Huh.
So yeah, but it had been left sort of unknown for quite a long time, because I think if I'm not wrong, it started off as a bit of a sort of inside joke in the offices as such, and then the codes sort of got leaked, if you will, out to the public. So yeah, quite cool. But yeah, interesting choices. I do have 3 choices myself. There's some feedback coming from somewhere. I don't know where, but there's feedback coming from somewhere, guys. You can hear it, can you?
Yeah, I heard it earlier. Yeah.
Ah, yeah, seems all right now. Yeah, so my 3 choices. Now it has been very difficult, because as much as I don't want to go for like the mainstream games as such, it is what it is. It is what it is. So the very first one I'm going to go for is The Getaway on PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. You know, it's basically the British version of Grand Theft Auto, to be honest.
Yeah.
And it's such a shame that we didn't get a PS3 release or even a PS4 release of like an up-to-date version, like a new one or whatever.
This is why GTA 6 should be set in the UK.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, but the thing is, you know, The Getaway. Have you played it, Barney, The Getaway?
No, I've seen it. I've seen it
seen
played,
it,
but
yeah.
I haven't actually played it myself.
Absolutely fantastic game. You know, it almost played like a movie, if you will. Like, I believe there was like around 40 square kilometres of central London that had been realistically recreated, which is crazy when you think about it on the PS2.
Including congestion charges.
But I seem to remember as well there was missions where you played sort of both sides of the story, like the victims, if you will, and the cops and so on. But yeah, it was just fantastic. Absolutely, if nobody's played The Getaway, you need to play it. But yeah, that needs, at very least, if they do, because I know there was something in the works for it, for a new one. I think it was back on the PlayStation 3, I want to say. But anyway, it got cancelled for whatever reason.
I'm just looking at some of the images just to revisit, and I remember they had the Rover 46, they had the Citroen Saxo, the Alfa Romeo. Remember that?
Also, the original discs that got released actually had the BT vans in there. But yes, the original, and they're the discs that are worth more money, because there was obviously some sort of dispute over that, and then the sort of later releases of The Getaway, the BT vans had been changed to like just a bog standard white van as such. But there are ones out there with
Tony could have lived out his open reach fantasies.
Yeah, Tony, if you
engineer.
Tony, if you type in The Getaway BT van, and it's the old, you know, do you remember the old thing where, I don't know what they're doing, they look like they're smoking a big joint. I'm not quite sure. But yeah, if you type it in, you'll see. So yeah.
Oh my God,
in the BT vans.
Yes, it's the French horn, so to speak.
Yeah,
the French horn. Yeah, amazing. And absolutely amazing.
And they also had, I believe, I'm going to check this, but I'm sure they had one of my favourite vehicles, which is a Lexus IS200. I'm sure. Yeah, they had that in the game, Lexus IS200. Fantastic. So yeah, that's the first one. So second one. I toyed with saying for the second one Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, but we know that's a potential one that's coming as a remaster. So I'll leave that be. That is one I'd like, but I'll leave that be. So my second choice, I'm going to go for The Warriors, made by Rockstar.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, because the Warriors game itself, absolutely, I loved it. You know, obviously, for today's standards, it's not up to scratch, but back when it was released, it was brilliant for its time. I think if, you know, they updated it or remade it, whatever, now they could look to do it as a bit more of an open world game. I mean, it was fairly open world, but linear at the same time. It was one of those. So yeah, I'd like to see The Warriors remastered. Third one may shock a lot of you. The third one is Robot Wars on the PS2.
Yes.
And when
coming from left field.
Yeah.
Robot Wars, so I believe it was on BBC channel, I believe, wasn't it? Now
I remember watching it. Yep.
Yeah, I spent hours on the PlayStation 2 game of Robot Wars. Now, hear me out here. My thinking is, if they manage to do a remaster, and with today's world, you can play online, so, you know, you could build a robot, your friend could, and you could challenge each other, or, you know, 2v2 or whatever, 3v3. I think a Robot Wars remaster would have a lot of potential. It may not.
That sound pretty sweet. That does sound pretty sweet.
I don't expect that it would be this AAA game, but it, you know, even if it's just literally just a digital, you know, straight onto the you know, Microsoft or PlayStation Network, Steam, etc. But yeah, I think that would be really nice.
Yeah. I was obsessed with that game as a child, the program as a child, and I remember I bought it for my Game Boy Advance. I was down in Cornwall, can't remember whereabouts, on holiday as a child, and it was about £19.95, and I had scrimp and scrape. There's a majority of my holiday money that I'd been saving up, and I bought this game, and it was brilliant. Even though it was on the Game Boy Advance, I had it. It was newly released. It was one of my first games for the Game Boy Advance.
Yeah.
I remember going brilliant, but even just today, like just talking about it, like I remember Hypnodisc. You had Chaos 2. You had Wheelie Cheese, and I remember when they talked about it, you could flip it. They said, "Oh, this robot could flip a car," and they showed videos. You know, when they were going through the pits prior to the sort of the main event, and then you had the house robots. Obviously, you had Sir Killalot. You know, the big boy. You had Matilda. You had Shun. You had oh, cool. I'm trying to think of the other one who used to claw on you. Scrap Metal. Was it Scrap Metal? But anyway, brilliant. Yeah, and seeing a remaster of that, I think, I'm actually jumping up, quite excited. The thought of if this was remade with the right developer, and the chance to sort of create your own robot, which is not hard, because there's loads of different games where you can create your own world, create your own character, create your own vehicle. It wouldn't be hard. So seeing that back, I think a lot of people today, our generation especially, now that we're, a lot of us are working or grown individuals where we have a bit more capital.
Avoid using the word old or mature, Tony.
Exactly. Yeah, I was trying to put that. Yeah, more. Mature. I'm going to go with mature, but we'll be able to sort of relive our childhood through that. And even that said, I just want to put this before I put this to bed. I even had pencils and pens and a long, pencil case, Robot Wars pencil case. I was such a fan. But Hypnodisc, for me, I remember the creators. It was the dad and the two twin brothers. Remember that now. And I think they were from Surrey or Slough. It was somewhere that area. But I used to like Chaos 2. Brilliant machine. Brilliant machine.
The game, like I said, I mean, I never played it on the Game Boy Advance, but for the PlayStation 2, it was a heck of a lot of fun. And I'm pretty sure you could play it local co-op, two players, against each other. I'm pretty sure, but yeah, I think that would have great potential. With an online mode with a few different types of matches available. So Yeah. Please happen.
Great choices.
Yeah,
round.
so no, we've all sort of chose different games there, so it's interesting to to know what we're thinking. But yeah, I think we'll leave the free game chats there in regards to the remakes, and I just wanted to touch on that. I believe it's in October. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's October.
Yeah, late October. Yeah.
Yeah, the game Guardians of the Galaxy will be released, and I have played. I don't know if anybody else has. I think Andy has actually briefly, but I've played the Marvel Avengers game, which a lot of people I feel found was quite underwhelming. I would say if you're playing it on your own, it's it struggled to keep my interest, but that doesn't say a lot coming from me, obviously, guys, because I bounce around with my games, don't I? But no, I played it with my son, and I've got to admit, I did have a lot of fun. Actually, I did have a lot of fun, and I presume they would have listened to feedback from Marvel Avengers, and hopefully, implemented, made things better for Guardians of the Galaxy. So I am looking forward to trying it out, because I know for a fact it's at least going to be a title that my son wants to play. So I know I'm going to get a chance to have a go on it.
Have you seen some of the confirmed details? Because they definitely have listened to people's feedback.
They definitely have they?
Yeah. Well, basically, some of the critique from the Avengers. Obviously, it's you need the internet, the live connection game, which a lot of people don't like, and it was full of microtransactions and all like little side missions and things like that. And Guardians of the Galaxy, they're pitching it as purely a single-player story-driven campaign.
Yes, I remember reading that.
It's not a live service. There is no microtransactions. They're going back to the old school of where you get a decent story-led game.
Yeah.
You put your disc in and you play it.
Yeah.
God of War comes to mind.
It's got Square Enix doing it again.
Yeah.
Square Enix, they are a pedigree firm. Yes, they made some mistakes last time, chasing the dollar, etc. Like yourself, I thought Avengers was all right. Yeah, it got some stick, but it probably got stick the same as it Battlefront, Star Wars, because of the amount of like microtransactions. So if they're stripping that back, and if they have got a really decent storyline behind it, because I would assume, obviously, they're going to have the license from Disney, for Marvel, and so forth.
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy is a fantastic film just for the music and the soundtrack alone. So if they transfer that soundtrack and music across to the game, that's already a winning formula, because you feel emotion, you feel connected with music, and it's going to draw you in. The characters of Guardians of the Galaxy, there's something for everyone. They're all likable. They've all got something different.
Yeah.
So as long as they nail the story, I think it could be a really, really refreshing and very good single-player game.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Barney, have you got anything you'd like to add to that?
Yeah. So I had a quick look at the trailer and the gameplay footage, and it certainly looks interesting. But I do question whether there's going to be enough depth to it.
Okay.
Because when I saw the dialogue option, it immediately brought to mind Mass Effect.
Right.
So I kind of got more of an action-oriented vibe variation of Mass Effect from that.
Oh, okay.
But one of the things that I really liked about Mass Effect was it had the right level of complexity versus keeping it streamlined and fast-paced. But yeah, I do wonder whether the Guardians of the Galaxy will be fairly simple in comparison.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So yeah, that's my concern. I'd like to hear more about the actual gameplay.
Right. Okay. Fair enough.
Also, a little bit disappointed that it's not 4-player, because that would have been awesome.
Yeah, that would be cool, wouldn't it? Going kicking butt in
that's
in
just
space.
that's part of the course.
Yeah.
One thing I did want to ask is, did any of you guys see the cancelled Adventures game by THQ?
No.
Okay, yeah, so THQ Australia was actually developing a online four-player first-person Avengers game, which unfortunately got cancelled because it was a shame because it was looking up to be pretty awesome. But anybody who is interested in that, I recommend looking it up. But it is a little bit depressing that it got cancelled.
Oh, so it was an Avengers game, was it?
Yeah, officially licensed Avengers game. It was part way through development. It's basically, if you imagine Avengers meets Left 4 Dead, that's the game that would have come out of
Oh,
it.
really?
You
Oh,
could have played as Hulk, Captain America, I think Hawkeye.
Spider-Man.
Not Spider-Man, he wasn't in the first Avengers film, but they each had the different powers. And it played more like almost like a melee first-person shooter.
Ah,
But yeah,
that
yeah, I
sounds
recommend looking
interesting.
up. It was quite interesting, but yeah, a little bit disappointing it got cancelled.
Yeah.
Yeah, THQ Australia was the studio developing it.
I'm going to have a look into that. Yeah. Tony, is there anything you'd like to add?
yeah. Again, I'm a fan of the film. I think it's hilarious. I like Chris Pratt in most of his films, from Jurassic Park to even Parks Rescue Restorations, the American TV program. Got the same sort of screenwriters from The American Office, which I love. But I think it's going to be a very entertaining game. I think it's, from the trailers that I've seen and what I've read up on it, it's got very. First thing I took from it was it's much like, in terms of layout and process that you go through each stages, it's much like God of War. And I love that game as well, the Gods of War games. So for me, I think if they've got if it's scripted with, those characters from the film, such as Chris Pratt, and certain catchphrases and comments that are made, I think it's going to be a really good game. I think it's going to meet the needs of children who are fans of the film, but also adults. And I think it's going to do really well from what I can see. But again, going back on what Barney said, it is a shame that there's no sort of online multiplayer option, because again, I think that would be a win-win all round. And I think, I don't know why they've not done it, but I'm going to base this on my opinion. I think if they had done this, I think there'd be a lot of competition in terms of options for children, where they go, I'm not going to play Fortnite today, i.e. your son being an example, or Andy's son. I'm going to be playing Guns and Games game, because I honestly feel that would be a competitor then, and it would sort of, stomp on Fortnite's parade. It's always got a massive fan base anyway, but yeah, I would be interested in purchasing that game and giving it a play, but it's a shame that it hasn't got the online sort of multiplayer feature.
Yeah. Well, one thing that I've noticed, so this, I'll just quickly mention this before we wrap up, that obviously it's coming out on PlayStation 5, PS4, PC, Xbox Series X, Xbox One. But this I find interesting. A cloud version will be available on Nintendo Switch. What do we think to that? A cloud version. So it's not going to have an actual release, because I presume the console itself, the Nintendo Switch, is underpowered to run this game as such. It probably could run it, but terribly. And I know a little while ago we discussed the whole thing with Microsoft having like switches in their background, and we know Microsoft is they've invested heavily into their cloud services. Could this be the future? To release Nintendo Switch games, that are graphically very demanding. It's getting a cloud release. So, I mean,
I think that's all about the technical requirements, really, because you need a fast, reliable connection. First of all, if you're doing streaming,
Open reach.
then you need all the server infrastructure as well to allow that. Because downloading games is one thing, but actually serving 60 frames per second is something else.
Yeah.
So if they can get the technical side down to a T, then yeah, it's just relying on consumers to have a reliable Wi-Fi connection.
Yeah, because I think the one thing we could probably all agree on in regards to Nintendo is that they do end up lacking those third-party AAA titles, as we've discussed before. Yes, they have a fantastic, first-party catalogue, but this could be a way that, okay, maybe not every single game will be released like that, but select games they feel will do well, and developers would like to release. This could be a way that they could get them to their fans who do own only a Nintendo Switch and not a PC, PlayStation, Xbox.
In a way, it kind of feels like a counter to the release of the Steam Deck almost.
Yes. Yeah, I didn't think of that actually. Yeah, that's one way to
Because
look at it.
then hardware specs wouldn't really matter as long as you can display, say, like any video at 60 FPS or thereabouts, which is fairly easy even for things like tablets and phones.
Yeah.
Then in theory you can stream stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's just relying more on your internet connection rather than the actual hardware itself.
Yeah, I just saw that little snippet of information. I just found it quite intriguing. It caught my eye.
That is.
So yeah, but yeah. So I think we'll wrap up there, guys. Because obviously I will mention this now. Today is the 12th of August, the start of the open beta for Back for Blood, which us four are gonna have a go on. So yeah, I think we shall be back with a mini episode, sort of with our opinions, once we've had a play and we know a bit more about it. But until then, that's been episode 18. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you guys for being here with me.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time.
Stay frosty, homies.
Peace out.
Bye.
See ya.